Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Cote, and I am a podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. And today I will have Will Thomson, president and founder of Bullseye Recruiting, with us today. And we're going to be talking about his business, his journey through his business ownership, challenges, best practices, and just share what it's really like to own and operate a business. If it's your first time on this channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. So, Will, welcome and thank you for being here today. Please give us a brief overview of you, your background, and a little bit about your business.
Sure. So my name is Will Thompson. I'm the founder and president of Bullseye Recruiting. We are a boutique sales, marketing, and executive recruiting firm here in Austin, Texas. We've been in business officially about 10 years. We started out as a blog in 2012, and then March of 2015 turned it into a recruiting business. But we've been very successful placing people from all around the globe in Austin and throughout cities and around the globe. So we've really enjoyed it. I'm an Austinite, born and raised here, and I've been in recruiting now for 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. I love that you're like an Austinite through and through. It's rare to meet people who are born and raised here. So that is so cool.
I'm a unicorn. Yeah, the city has definitely changed quite a bit.
Very much so. So, in generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like for your business? You're
Sure.
the founder, and are there outside investors, anything like that?
No outside investors. It's an LLC. And we've had it structured that way the whole time.
Okay. And when you look at your role specifically, how many hours do you usually spend working on in your business, the
Sure.
job, and then how many hours on the business, like the
Sure.
strategy and planning?
Sure. So as a founder and of a business, you're always on, right? So you're never off. I mean, you're always, attached to your phone. And so I mean, as far as the hours, the week dictates it from week to week. So we could have, it could be a 40-hour week or it could be an 80-hour week. It just depends on what the needs of the business are at that particular time. As a founder, I'm finding myself, in wearing a lot of different hats. So I'm the recruiter, I'm the founder. You can call me the chief mop officer. I mean, I will do anything to keep business going, but manage a team of recruiters and make sure that they're doing their job, make sure we get new business. And then, actually filling the roles and working with clients is my day-to-day responsibility. So it could vary quite drastically from week to week of where, how many hours I put in.
Very much so. That is such the truth for
Sure.
someone who starts a business. So I totally understand where you're coming from. So who primarily does your business serve? What makes your business unique? If I were in the audience, how would I know if I was a good fit for your company?
Sure. I mean, so recruiting is an art. I mean, it's a lot of people dismiss it as an easy thing to do, but it's not. It truly is a balance of, finding the right candidate for the role and finding the right company for the candidate. So, the best kind of client for me is someone who really values recruiting and really wants to grow and build their team. That's what we do best, right? So, we work with companies that have 5 employees all the way to several thousand. So, people that are looking to build something, have a great idea that just don't know where to start. But so maybe they don't have a recruiting department in today. Or maybe they do have a recruiting department, but need specialized help in certain areas. That's where we help the most. But we've been very successful in working with various organizations from startups that are funded to all the way to publicly held companies that really need assistance with specific type roles.
Hmm. That is really powerful. It's like a very helpful service that's going to help other businesses thrive. So that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, what is something that you wish people knew about your business that they maybe don't know?
Sure. I think as any small business owner, I mean, the heart and soul is, trying to we are that integrity filled organization. There are a lot of staffing organizations out there. There are a lot of recruiting companies out there, but what we try to do is build those long-term relationships. So when you do business with us, you are getting somebody that is truly loves what he does, and also is very well networked. Like I said, I've been here 28 years, so I mean, we have a deep network of individuals, and we really care about both the candidate and the client and making sure there is a great match for both, because I'm not here to sell you on a role if you don't want to do something. I'm always trying to uncover the needs and wants of both sides, and I'm that glue or the conduit that kind of makes it happen, the matchmaker.
The matchmaker. I
Yeah,
love that. That is really cool. And it's so close to Valentine's Day too. So that's actually
yeah, it sure is.
Oh, that is super cool. So when it comes to like marketing, that's something that's vital to every business, especially when you're looking to grow. I'm always really curious what successful businesses are doing and what percentage of your monthly sales do you typically invest back into your marketing budget?
So we've spent a lot of time. It's interesting because my marketing effort when I first started my business was pretty much blogs. I wrote about what was wrong with the recruiting industry, and that was my marketing. I received tons of leads with people saying, I agree with what you're saying, Will. And, let me talk to you about what we need, and you'd be a good fit. As the company's progressed, I've had less and less time to write blogs all the time. So we've invested a lot of money in search engine optimization. As many business owners don't realize, search engine optimization is the thing that always has to be at the front and center of your mind, lead generation and things like that. So um, your Google rankings will shrink. I mean, the rules do change over time. I mean, the algorithms of what worked 3 years ago and what works today, and how you're going to get noticed is completely different. I found it 2 years ago where I was like getting all this business, at one point in time from marketing and from leads from our Google ranking. Well, they changed the whole algorithm, and ours slowly went off the page. And I had several people
Mhm.
reach out to me and say, "Hey, well, this isn't adding up. What? Well, you need to do something different." So we invested a lot of time and money and resources, in doing stuff like that. There's a guy named Brandon Wallace who's in Fort Worth who actually helped us with that in our website, which is very important. And then I try to stay on top of trends like, blogging, and then when I can.
That's very true. And it is, it's interesting to hear how you've had to make those shifts, especially as your company has
Mhm.
changed and grown. The algorithm has changed and grown. And, that adaptability, I think, is like a secret sauce to success if, especially when it comes to the marketing.
Speaking of, adaptability, recruiting changes a lot, right? So the past 3 years have been devastating for most Americans. I mean, 4 years. We've had, a global recession. We've had a pandemic. We've had the greatest hiring we've ever had in our lives. And now we've had more layoffs than we've had. So with inflation and everything else and a lot of uncertainty. So our business has been really, um, going towards the needs and the wants of what people are looking to hire for. Last year, we did a lot of recruiting for mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, because that's where the need was.
Mhm.
So we've been able to do that as well.
That's also very powerful, like seeing that and feeling that need and then seeing where the jobs are. Cause I've definitely seen that even just in my experience being in Austin, just
Sure.
seeing how that's been shifting over even the last couple of years with different things that have been going on.
And it's going to continue to shift. I mean, I've been through multiple recessions, 2001, 2008, and then this recent one that we've had. I don't know if they call it a recession, but it doesn't feel great. Yeah. So, it's the ups and downs that of recruiting that are part of what recruiting is.
100%. Kind of switching gears, I'd love to hear what approaches you've taken to track your leads. Like, do you have a CRM that you prefer? How do you run that part of your business?
Yeah, so we have an ATS called Crelate. It's for small businesses. It tracks all the leads that come in, and it also tracks the candidates and things like that. And that's been really effective for us. So that's the primary tool that we've used.
Nice. That's incredible too, just because it's a lot of moving parts because you're working on like
Sure.
both sides of the spectrum of
Yeah.
the client and the person being hired. So,
Right. Right.
why did you, I'd love to hear kind of your backstory. Why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to choosing to work for somebody else?
Sure. Well, I've always worked for someone else. I worked at Dell, eBay, Rosetta Stone. I was a corporate recruiter, and I there was a lot of things that bothered me about how the whole recruiting industry worked, and I wrote about them. And I think I had no plans of ever owning a business. I wanted to just write a blog. My wife had decided that she was going to step away from her job, and then I lost my job in 2014, and decided that at that time it was probably best that you know I'd look for another job, and I actually had another offer with another organization. My wife said to me, "Hey, Will, if you don't make this change now, then you're never going to do it." And I said, "Well, neither one of us have jobs." And so we're a faith-based company, and we believed that was our calling to start a business, and we've never looked back. I mean, so this is how we got started, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. And we've been successful through doing this, and I think it's all through the grace of God.
That is so powerful and so very true. So I just love that you had that moment where your wife was like, now or never. This is like, even though it's this time where it feels like there are no other options but to get a job, it's like that isn't that cool how that works out. That story actually really touches my heart too.
Thank you. It's the bullseye story, and we're lucky that we were given the opportunity to do it. And I'm telling you that I did not ever think I was going to be a small business owner, but it's the best thing and the only thing that's good for me, because I work much better by myself than or on my own than working for others.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. So like looking back kind of at the journey since you started your business, what is something a memorable roadblock or hurdle or something that challenged you that you overcame?
Yeah. We've had a couple. I mean, I think that we were kind of rolling along, and then the pandemic hit, and I had a talk with my wife and said, I don't think we're gonna be able to do this anymore. It's been a great ride, but I don't know if we're gonna do it. This is the end. And I think a lot of business owners felt the same way. But we were able to persevere, cut back in some certain areas, and business light there's people were still hiring late 2020, and we just kind of rolled with it. And I think that even as even last year was difficult at times, because we had all this hiring, and then everybody was laid off, so
Mhm.
we were able to persevere and keep going. So I think that's the main key in business ownership, is that you gotta have a level head. There's good times and there's bad times, and when it's hot, it's hot, and when it's not, it's not. But you just take every day as a gift, right? And do everything you can to make that day as best as you can.
Yes, I completely believe in that too. That's really powerful. And just to see how you've gotten through those times and how you've, persevered through.
Sure. Thank you so much.
And so where do you see your business going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Much of what we're doing today. I mean, I don't see our company growing, to be a huge organization, or a major recruiting agency. I really enjoy the boutique feel, in that hands-on with the client, and really have that relationship that with you build. Um, Maybe as our needs grow, we'll add even more recruiters, and we've done that. We've flexed up and down when needs are hot and when they're not. Um, but I hope one day my son takes over my business, or my daughter. That's my dream, and they've talked about it. So, if I can keep the lights on that long, that's what I want to do, and keep the tradition going.
That is cool. Then it'd be like a true family business
Yeah,
passed down generation to generation.
right, right.
Okay, so speaking of the future of your business, how would you describe, your leadership style of the business and has that changed over the years?
You I never thought of myself as a true natural leader, and you have to make risky decisions throughout your when you own a business. And um, I think my attitude on life is if you don't take a risk, nothing's going to happen, right? So, um, in that, I want to make sure that I go for it all the time. I want to go for it on fourth down, right? So my leadership is if you stay status quo, then you're never going to exceed. And I don't mean status quo in the business growing. I mean status quo and not going for something that seems a little bit unattainable. And I think that's something that my leadership style always shines through. Is like, let's go for it. A no does not necessarily mean no. And that a no means maybe, and let's keep going, and okay, let's keep this relationship going.
Also very powerful. That's such a like a go-getter, optimistic mentality too, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, life can be tough, right? So you always gotta have that optimistic attitude, and there's always another day, right? So, I don't want anybody to dwell on, what happened bad that last day. My daughter plays volleyball, and she said to me, she said, I don't want to dwell on the mistake I just made. I want to make myself better. I want to have short-term memory. And I think that's the best thing you can do as a business owner is to remember it, but have short-term memory and keep going.
100%. Don't let it bring you down. Just use it as fuel, as a learning opportunity to correct and move on.
Right, right.
So what areas of training do you believe like your staff will need most in the next 6 months based on like how your business is currently going in the
Sure.
business climate?
Sure. So, I mean, I think there's always new tools available. Artificial intelligence has changed the game tremendously. So I think it's how we, adapt to artificial intelligence, how we use it to our advantage and not our disadvantage, and how to overcome, objections and to really ask deep questions when they're uncomfortable, right? Because there's everybody has an answer, but some people have a hard time asking for those tough questions. And I think that that's the way you get successful in life is you simply state it like it is and make it uncomfortable, right? I just had a
Mhm.
conversation like that the other day, and it was very interesting. I mean, I they told me one thing, and I listened, and I said, so basically that's not that at all. And he's like, no, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. It like takes sometimes those tough conversations, but then there's always like
Sure,
a breakthrough, I feel like.
sure, sure.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground in this conversation. It has been amazing to hear your journey, hear your inspiration. And for our listeners, I highly encourage them to like, hey guys, watch this a few times. There's so many great nuggets through this episode. And as we're beginning to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions. These are like quick, top of mind, just the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is what is the key to success for you personally?
Um, Perseverance. I mean, don't stop. I mean, I was a child that um, had epilepsy. They never told me I would never make it in life, right? And they wanted to put me in a different group for learning. Well,
Mhm.
I got a degree, a graduate degree, and I own my own business, and have a beautiful wife and two children. So keep going. Don't let everybody tell you no.
That's powerful. What is one piece of advice for other business owners that you have?
Yeah. Make sure you have enough money in the bank. It takes a little while, have a set, and then just um, keep keep at it. I mean, try to find a niche that works best for you, right? I mean, I think a lot of people are broad in what they offer. I think that the people that are most successful have a specific focus. And,
Mhm.
my focus has always been like sales and marketing, and executive recruiting. That's where I specialize in. And there are not a lot of people that do what I do. So they do a lot of different kinds of recruiting, but have a niche,
Yes, that
whatever it is.
is true.
Yeah.
Very true. What is one book or any piece of content, podcast, show that you're reading right now or watching right now that that has impacted you recently?
Yeah. Shaken by Tim Tebow. Um,
Ooh, okay.
yeah, so I mean, everybody thinks of him as a national championship winner for Florida Gators, right? But he had a lot of trials and tribulations. I mean, he's a big man, right? But he was on several NFL teams. Everybody was saying some really bad things about him. And, he's an
Mhm.
ESPN analyst. He was in minor league baseball for years. So, although it looks like everything's perfect, he's had some tough times. So,
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot to learn from that whole piece.
definitely putting that on my list for sure.
Yeah.
So the last one in our rapid fire is if you had to choose one area of your business you could immediately improve on tomorrow, what would it be?
Yeah. Um, I think just lead generation. I think that lead generation has changed over the years. Um, where you could typically pick up the phone and call somebody. Everything has, caller ID today. And then it was LinkedIn, sending messages through LinkedIn. Um,
Mhm.
there's a mix. I mean, it is a cadence that you have to follow to be able to get new business. It's LinkedIn, email, text. It's all, it's social media. It's all of it. So, I think most business owners struggle with how are you going to get new leads? What's going to be that? So we're still trying to figure out the perfect recipe. Um, but I think it's a mixture of all of it.
Very true. There's so many things, all of the Internet of Things now to be on and be networking in. So that's yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get to our final question of the day, how can everybody get in touch with your company? Where can they find you? Social media, direct messages. What do you prefer?
Sure. So my LinkedIn is Will Thompson. My last name my last name is spelled Thomson. And I'm bullseyerecruiting.net, not .com is our website. Um, you can email me at will@bullseyerecruiting.net. Um, and that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Either through LinkedIn or through um, reaching out to me via email at will@bullseyerecruiting.net.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Will. This has been an incredible conversation. I have one final question for you.
Sure.
What is most inspiring to you today?
Yeah. I mean, I think the underdog. I was an underdog. Someone like Brock Purdy, who's Mr. Irrelevant, right? That was the last pick in the NFL draft. So don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do something. Always go out there and strive to be your best, and you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish.